We have reached, you guessed it, 1800 in solo shuffle in Midnight Season 1. Not Blitz, solo shuffle. The ultimate tilt experience. I think the rating cap was 2100 at that point. You might say, as a red, just face roll, man. But if you did not reach it yet, I'm here to help because it's a bit more complicated than that. Not by much, just a bit more. So let's talk what everyone cares about, rotation. So first thing to understand is that red's damage is at its best on the burst window. Outside of wings, you're just ticking away at people, so the real damage happens when you really line everything up. Here's how the burst goes. You want to make sure you have Judgment and Blade of Justice on the target. Your most important two dots. Then you go Execution Sentence, Wake of Ashes, Divine Toll, Hammer of Light, which is basically the Wake of Ashes transformed. And here now you can spend your Holy Power on Final Verdict, build it back with Hammer of Wrath on cooldown, reapply Blade of Justice, Templar's Verdict, and so on and so forth. So again, make sure you have both of the dots, Execution Sentence, Wake of Ashes. If you have Holy Power at this point, use Hammer of Light, then Divine Toll. If not, Divine Toll, then Hammer of Light. Build Holy Power fast then with Hammer of Wrath, which is basically Judgment, but it's transformed because you are in Avenging Wrath phase. Then you spend your Holy Power on Templar's Verdict, or Final Verdict, the one we're playing with. Or you can also use Templar's Verdict when you have Divine Purpose up, because it's gonna be a no-cost Templar's Verdict, obviously. If you cannot reach your target, although you are in this burst window, just use your globals on a target that's close to you. Don't let yourself have dead globals. That's the biggest DPS loss for a red paladin. Now, even though your damage is great, even at a huge range, you should still be in melee range for Wake of Ashes and Divine Toll. Let me explain. So again, you go Judgment, Blade of Justice, Execution Sentence. Wake now slashes the target if it's close to you. Hammer of Light. And Divine Toll spawns these spinning hammers. You see that? Well, these damage your target significantly, but you have to be in a melee range. And that is called Divine Hammer. If you need to gap close, don't forget that you have 2 stacks of Divine Steed. Basically, you mount up and you go towards your target. You can couple that up with Blessing of Freedom, but only if necessary, because beware, that can be dispelled. And also you can get the 3rd Divine Steed charge if you have an Evoker in your team. So yeah, remember, with this build, Wake of Ashes actually triggers Avenging Wrath. So you pop your Red Bull wings. Let's discuss talents. Well, you figured it out from the rotation that we're playing Templar as a hero talent. Templar has huge damage during burst windows, and solo shuffle is mostly about burst windows, since you only have to kill one target, and the game doesn't last that long as in 3v3s and 2v2s. Herald would be a good choice, theoretically, for sustained damage, but it also has its issues, and I think there's still some bugs in there. By the way, the talent builds will be in the description of this video, as always. For the PvP talents, a non-negotiable is Blessing of Sanctuary. It instantly removes stun, silence, fear, and horror effects from your friendly target. This is the blessing you want to use on your healer when the healer is in a CC. That can save a lot of games. So whenever you see your healer stunned, Blessing of Sanctuary instant on him. Beware, it doesn't work on Cyclone. I made that mistake before. He's just immune to it. And then I go for Hallowed Grounds usually, because Consecration clears all snare effects for everyone in your team. And depends on the situation. Let's say we have a melee enemy team, we go with Luminescence. That also works with Lightbearer, increasing the Lightbearer's healing by 150%. Now, if there's a caster on the enemy team, I go with Blessing of Spellwarding, because it's essentially a buff for magic damage. You become immune to it. All magic damage and harmful effects. But beware, this can be dispelled, so watch out when you use it. You can use it on yourself or an ally. But if I do face the caster, since Bop and Spellwarding share a cooldown of 5 minutes, which is exactly the length of a shuffle round, I go Spellwarding, I remove Bop from here, and then I go with Consecrated Ground, because then my enemies will be slowed by my Consecration, and I can catch that problematic caster in that round. And if there's some really powerful caster combo, like, I don't know, Evoker and Warlock, I also swap Hallowed Ground for Searing Glare, which makes enemies miss their spells and attacks. Beware of that though, you can get kicked on Searing Glare, and if you get kicked on Searing Glare, all your spells are of Holy School, so basically you're not gonna cast anything. Even Divine Shield, which is our best defensive. Missing spell includes Healings, Fears, even Hajj. But as I said, this works in a scenario when you are the least kicked, or there's a low chance for you to get kicked. Sometimes Spellwarding also helps with some melee guys. So if I have, let's say, a Warlock and a Havoc Demon Hunter, well, if I put Spellwarding on a target or on myself, you are immune to the chaos damage of the Demon Hunter. So in some melee scenarios, if you have Spellwarding, you have the best of both worlds. It depends on the situations. it doesn't work with full melee guys like warriors, rogues, and so on. But again, it can be dispelled. For defensives, as a paladin, we have a great kit of defensives. We have buff if you want to be immune to physical damage. We have spell warding to be immune to magic damage. Remember, they share a cooldown. Defenses which we can use on ourselves or on other allies. We have lay on hands that instantly heals a target from whatever HP they have to 100%. We have Blessing of Sacrifice, which reduces our allies' damage taken by 30%, but you take full damage. And that's very useful for an ally that is targeted and you need to save them, or add a little bit of resistance to that target so they don't get tunneled down or get killed in a global, because it happens. It also helps if your healer is CC'd and they cannot save your ally, so you just sack fast. You're gonna hear this a lot. Sack, sack. That means sacrifice, Blessing of Sacrifice. And sometimes if you want to save the ally, you know, during the round, don't necessarily just bop them right away if it's not that much damage and they can resist. Just sack. We have Divine Protection, that it's for yourself. You reduce damage by 30%. You can use it while stunned as well. And you're casting Shield of Vengeance, which grants you additional absorb. And when the shield expires, it bursts to inflict holy damage equal to the total amount absorbed. So you're gonna return the damage to the nearby enemies. You also have Blessing of Freedom that removes snares and slows. And if you cast it on yourself or on an ally, it doesn't matter because in the arena, all of you get freedom if you press it. And last but not least, we have Divine Shield, which is our bauble, obviously, our ultimate defensive that you should use as a last resort. Use everything else before that. Hold on to every defensive CD you can and use them in an order. I would go, to be honest, bop or spell warding first, then, you know, sack to help. That's if you're not the one being attacked. Then lay on hands. Then try to hold on a bit on them. Just use some word of glory, maybe on yourself or an ally. Use divine protection whenever you can. Then lay on hands. And if after that you have nothing left, you go divine shield. And sometimes if I go behind a pillar and try to use a bit of flash of light to just heal myself a few times, even if it's a small amount, you can postpone the danger until you get some defensive, assuming my healer is CC'd. I played Tauren as a race, not the best I know, but I am using War Stomp to stun targets basically. So I War Stomp Searing Glare, for example. Now I'm safe for a few seconds, or you know, War Stomp, they thankfully Medallion, and then you go Blinding Light. So yeah, we have a great kit. For CCs, we have quite a bit of that as well. Not like others, but enough. We have the big ol' Hodge, Hammer of Justice. A 6-second stun that you should usually use on the enemy healer, because, you know, you want to be able to burst your target and not get healed back up. So you open with Hodge, and then you start bursting your target. I mean, Judgment, Blade of Justice, Hodge the healer, Execution Sentence, Wake of Ashes, Toll, etc. Sometimes if someone else handles the CC on the healer, let's say a rogue, because you do share DR with him since it's a stun, you let them CC the healer and you CC the DPS with problems. For example, we had the Devour DH that was just dealing a ton of damage, and whenever he had Void Ray up, I would Hodge him for 6 seconds. I would interrupt that big burst. Of course we have Blinding Light, that is, you guessed it, a blind. Beware though, if you pick Searing Glare, you're not gonna have Blinding Light because it replaces it. It's not like before. So think about the fact if you need more CC, so you pick Blinding Light. If you need to stop some bursty spell, but can avoid getting kicked, go Searing Glare. As a Tauren, of course, you have another stun, the War Stomp. And yes, I know, Human is the most optimal race for Paladin, because you have your racial that removes stuns. So sometimes you can go with double trinket without medallion. You can have the equipable effect trinket and the usable trinket for your burst. But come on, Human? Tauren is superior, obviously. We also have our kick, Rebuke. The funny part about Rebuke is even though we're a melee spec with a range almost as close as a range spec, our interrupt still works only at the melee range. So there is a balance. For the gear and stats, our stat priority is versatility, mastery, haste, crit. Sadly for the red pally, the set pieces are not that good. So you need to do a little bit of crafting. You're gonna craft the Thalassian shoulders, ring, feet, and I think that's about it for me, but I should craft the back as well. Remember to craft them with the Missive of the Harmonious, which gives you versatility and mastery. As always, a good site to check what top players are playing with. You can go to morlock.io for gearing, enchant, talents, and every other info to see what's, you know, meta. For the weapon, I went with the conquest weapon that you're gonna get anyways if you earn enough conquest, so do not ever spend your conquest on weapons. You'll get a free one basically. So yeah, you go with the greatsword because it has verse mastery. Trinkets, of course, medallion and the equipable effect trinket because I am not a human. Tauren is superior, as I said. And apart from the crafted items, I just buy the verse mastery conquest gear. For the enchants, I enchanted my head with Speed, same on the shoulders. Chest with Mark of the World Soul. Legs with Frost Hunter's Armor Kit, which gives you strength and stamina. Boots with Forest Rider's Hunt. That gives you speed and stamina, because you know, with so much speed, fast as fuck, boy! One of the rings I put Silver Moon's Tenacity for the versatility, and the other one with Amani Mastery for some mastery, you know, balancing them out. And my weapon will be with Acuity of the Rendorai, which basically gives you, as always, primary stats. For the gems, I went with Flawless Masterful Lapis, which gives you verse and mastery, but most importantly versatility, because that's the most important stat in PvP. Alright, so I hope this guide was helpful. If you have any questions or mentions, obviously leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the guide, give it a like and subscribe for more spin to win guides. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Ruffix takes the bag.